What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to American Trucking Simulator, or American Truck Simulator as it stands for. Who knows? Okay, I do know the title, I just set that up. Anyway, as you might see, we are not where we left off, and we are obviously again with back again with Trucking and Story series. This time should be episode number 10. And yeah, the thing is, I have completely reset my PC, which did actually not result in my delivery resetting, which was very surprising. However, I obviously didn't have any other games or anything downloaded, so I used this game as kind of a background thing that I can play while downloading the other games. Sorry. Can we run him over? Probably not. Let's not try it. And so while I was playing this, I was obviously finishing the delivery, getting along a little bit, and waiting for the other games to download. So we are now on a totally different delivery, but we are in Wyoming, so there is that. I mean, that's where we wanted to get, right? Get to Wyoming. And there we go. I also bought my own truck, but I'm still only doing quick jobs because I like them for videos. And they're just so easy. You click quick job and you don't have to do anything. You just start. It's perfect for a busy man like me. Anyway, we left off last time with Twitter, I think. And I mentioned we will do that in another video. That video is now. On the other side, I don't want to start with it. What I do want to start with is DLCs. Why do I want to start with DLCs? Well, that's a good question. Oh, a viewpoint. I will actually totally grab that. The reason why I want to start with DLCs is pretty simple. I've been thinking about, like, people have been complaining a lot. And the forums that I've been reading through, and also like friends on Steam or in... This looks quite amazing, to be honest. So I have friends on Steam, friends that I used to play with, that I'm still friends with, even though we don't play anymore. That looks amazing. Like, imagine this with great graphics. Guess I want to make this game accessible also. Anyway, we have been complaining about the DLC practice of companies these days, and not just these days, I mean it started. Well, the first time I personally encountered a lot of complaints regarding it was around the time of Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty, obviously, that is. Or did Modern Warfare 1 have DLCs? See, it's been a long time. I actually want to cover that bit of road. Hold on. Let's do this. There we go. That covers a bit of road. Anyway, so I think it was around the time of Modern Warfare 2. It was around those days. That should have been 2010. Somewhere around that time. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. It should be around that time. 2009, 2008, 2010, 2011, somewhere around that time. It's been a while. And obviously it's just gotten worse. And the thing that people complained about with Modern Warfare 2 was, well, here they are releasing a game where they cut out content that was already made. Like, if I remember correctly, if that was a game that I remember about, The maps were on the disc. They were just not unlocked when you installed the game. You had to do that via DLC. So the maps were there, they were done. They were just cut out of the full game and sold separately. And what people, to an extent rightfully so, have complained about was, well, sell the full game. I'm paying the full price. That was... I can totally understand that and get behind that. Like I said, I totally understand that. And it just got worse, obviously. When weapons were sold, weapon skins were sold, and I have to say with skins it's like whatever because they don't give an advantage, but still you cut out content and obviously only give out skins that look like complete not so good. Just almost started swearing here. But yeah, they include the skins that don't look any good, and they sell the ones that look good, and they sell them separately. And I'm like, of course, capitalism. Of course it ends that way. Not that I'm saying that capitalism is the root of all evil or anything, don't get me wrong, but if you follow how a market works, man, you know that that's going to come, right? You're going to bleed everyone as dry as possible with as limited of investment as necessary. Why are you driving so slowly? That was a good overtake, I would say. Really good overtake. So anyway, obviously, the thought is probably, well, you spend $60 on a game. I don't know if Modern Warfare 2 was in a time when it cost 60. I think it was 50, 60, something around that. Probably still costs 60 knowing Activision. And we are driving a bit fast. Before, when you bought the game and when you had the game, and that was it. You had the game sales as a means of income. So obviously the thinking is, well, how do we increase that? Well, we could, obviously Call of Duty was already at a time zone where they were releasing yearly games. I mean, we had the two different studios, with the Infinity Ward doing the Modern Warfare series and Treyarch doing the Black Ops series, yes. So I had the different studios, but it was still yearly Call of Duty games. Whereas different studios is on an entirely different topic. You had the yearly games, you had them pumped out, and we saw it in a lot of series at the time. I think Assassin's Creed did it for a while. Oh, we're here. Oh, we don't reach... Well, wait, we don't discover Riverton. Don't like that. So the thinking obviously is how to increase the money. Pumping out even more games is kinda unlikely when you already pump out a game a year. That's just not gonna fly. So the next thinking is, well, we cut out a little bit of the content, in this case multiplayer maps that nobody cares about anyway, and you sell them separately. And then obviously the thinking was, well, how about instead we're also cutting out some of the weapon skins. We don't make them like unlockables or prestige rewards or anything. No, we cut them out and we sell them separately. Obviously people are buying anything we put out, so why not make money with this? And then I remember with all of these, what was it called, where you could kind of get to level 80 already and unlock everything like right from the start. Is this even allowed? Well, we'll do it anyway. Shortcuts? I think it was sold as shortcut, where you basically unlocked everything already, so you don't have to play the game anymore, that you already paid $60 for. I mean, obviously it's to just unlock the weapons and everything for multiplayer, so you don't need to kind of go through the grind and can just jump into the game. I understand it, it's just unlocking stuff is part of the fun in my book, but then again I'm a bit old school, as we're almost run off the road. So yeah, I get it, it's part of the fun, whatever. And then you obviously have the thing, every game now has collectibles, and you obviously need to search them on the maps. You have it in Assassin's Creed and Need for Speed, and everything has collectibles now, but you need to search. And some of the games were like, well, if you don't like searching for them, you can buy the positions on the map. Oh. I'm not entirely sure what happened right there. Oh well. Whatever. So that was another way to kind of grab money. And then we obviously have a whole loot box issue, which is on an entirely different paper altogether. I mean, I don't want to get into FIFA here and the way they are grabbing money there. And I mean, NBA 2K does a similar thing these days. It's just, I don't want to get into that now, because that's kind of that's like opening Pandora's box, and I'm not entirely sure I'm willing to, so I don't. Let me quickly get a new job. You're probably wondering, because I said I want to do something less negative. Did I say it? I wanted to say it, I don't know if I actually did. That gets me to a new place, so that's pretty cool. Oh, that's to Colorado. Hey, that gets me through a couple of new places, so that's good. Let's take that job. Office supplies. That sounds good. Anyway, yeah, I don't really want to open Pandora's box and talk about FIFA now. We could do that another day if I really feel like dangerous topics, but... Uh-oh. That is a pretty big truck. That's a lot of office supplies. And I think I'm gonna just... I mean, that's not really DLCs anymore. That's when we are in the microtransaction range, although it kind of falls under the same, you know, same, you know what, different name. It's just, it's like I said in one of the earlier videos, just calling it something different doesn't mean it's less. Running out of words to say bad. But yeah, I'm not going to go into bad. But what I actually wanted to talk about is that I think DLCs are vital to gaming, and that they are actually a good thing. I just think the implementation is poor. Or not poor, I mean, it's what capitalism leads to, or what a market leads to. Again, I don't want to sound like, I don't know, hey, let's all copy China and become socialist or something. I don't want to get into this topic neither, but the fact of the matter is the free market will always lead to how can we make more money with the least amount of work possible. And just the way it is, that's how it's built. And I think there is an implementation of DLC. Now, next thing is, a customer actually has power. Obviously one customer doesn't have power, but a lot of customers have power. We saw that with Star Wars Battlefront 2, where people stopped buying it because of horrific microtransaction stuff they put in the game. Get the start with cards and stuff. It was horrendous, and people didn't buy it. They talked with their money. And money talks. Companies understand when you don't buy it. They don't care if you complain as long as you buy it. They do care if you don't buy it. So that's it for the future. Very important, I might add. Money talks. If you don't buy, that reaches companies. This might actually be a one-topic video because we're getting real deep here. Right, door was open, so I quickly stopped talking. Anyway, so yeah, we saw where money talks, and the same thing is with the current DLC policy. As long as people start or keep buying it, nothing is going to change. Why? Well, it sells. As long as it works, it's going to stay that way. Now, if people stop buying DLCs or buying microtransactions or skins or whatever, and then they're not buying the games either because they're like, well, keep your, what? With your shady business practices, then nothing's going to change, obviously, until that happens. That being said, like in Battlefront 2, we have seen examples where customers, where players actually change something. Now, why do I think DLCs can be a good thing or are even essential? Well, because if implemented correctly, they're really good. I mean, we have had expansions for games way longer than this whole DLC discussion. Just think back to Age of Empires 1 with the Rise of Rome expansion. I mean, they released a game, it was good, and then a while later they were like, well, this is a good base game, let's kind of expand on it, we have some more ideas, let's release an expansion. And in that sense, it's got to be an expansion, so it'll be DLC as well. But I think the big difference is it wasn't just content that was there already that has just been cut out to sell separately. I think that's a big issue. This whole idea of you don't buy the full game anymore when you buy the full game. Even when you buy an Ultimate Edition these days, you don't actually buy the full game. You buy the fullest version of the ones off. And it costs $100, and then we're still charging you for microtransactions and in-game payments. Which is a little bit ridiculous, but I actually think Far Cry 6 was 110 or 120 for the Ultimate Edition, like they're crazy. But that's another topic as well. Anyway, hey, we discovered a city. The fact of the matter is, DLCs in and of themselves are a good idea. Why? Because they can actually help avoid getting constantly new games every year. We see it in FIFA or in like any sports game. You could just release an updated version of the teams. I mean, that's literally all that changes from, like, say, FIFA 21 to 22 is the teams, or the players that switched teams and some of the ratings. Release an update DLC, like 2021 DLC, and then just make sure you release a new game every 4 or 5 years, where you actually manage to make like proper improvements, whether it's graphically, game modes, etc. Or you can sell separate game modes as DLCs as well, but really just where you can feel a difference, and it's just not just the same game where players are on different teams. the reason why it's not done is because an update DLC is probably not going to sell the same way a new FIFA game is going to sell. That's why it's not done. But in that respect, DLC can actually be good. When you have these changing things, to just sell kind of an update, sell it as a DLC, and then it's good, you know? That's all you need. Instead of releasing a new game every year. But the fact of the matter is, it's sort of easy to produce compared to an entirely new game because the base is already there. And it's obviously a cash grab. And I think the biggest reason why they keep pumping out the new games every year is microtransactions, and how we are getting into FIFA even though I didn't want to. So you play Ultimate Team, right? You put a lot of money into the cards to get good players. And then the year is over and everyone plays the new game and you start anew and you have to pump a lot of money to get good players. And you do that every year. Now if they just release a DLC and you still play the same game with the same players you bought, well, that gets kind of boring, doesn't it? Or not boring, but it's kind of not the same money grab effect that the other thing has. For a player it's good, obviously, but for a company, probably not. Don't see a reason to do that. So, in that respect, DLCs would be wisely implemented. I would even support them. But it's not a smart business decision. Where it is a smart business decision, and therefore also done, and a good idea where I actually support it, is like true game expansions. Like when you have an old game, and like in this game, for example, you add a new state, and it's quite obvious by the way the states improve that these things are done gradually. Like they are not. There was no full game with the full US in this case, and they just cut out all the states and now we're selling them every couple of months. That's not how it works. Like you release the base game. Obviously they could have included the whole US in the base game. I think the premise is here to just release a game, see how it goes, and if it goes well, then expand upon it. Obviously the base game should already be playable, not like Paradox does it where you release a fully broken game and then you fix it with every new DLC. At the end of the day, when someone asks, well, should I buy, I don't know, EU4, Hearts of Iron 4, whatever, people just tell you, well, if you buy all the DLCs, you should. Which amounts to several $100 in loot box games at this point. What I can understand to a certain extent, even though it's also blatant money grab, is Sims 4. Obviously, if you buy all DLC at full price, you're crazy. But, well, for one, it developed over a long time. Actually, it's not that old, is it? A couple of years. It's a lot of DLCs for a couple of years. It is obvious, however, that they were sort of cutting out things and features from Sims 3 and 2 and then sell them as DLCs in 4. I still think they could have at least made pets and dogs and cats and everything free. I know that was a DLC before, but still, you sell so many DLCs, huh? Like basic features like that. Well, you can include them, I know you can. Sorry. And thing is, it doesn't make sense, like when you want to expand on a game like Sims, to just release Sims 5 now with Wizards, or now with Eco Lifestyle, or now with Star Wars. I think it was a Star Wars DLC. So it makes sense to expand on the game via DLCs. Obviously the price policy is a whole different topic, but it makes sense for things like this to expand via DLC. It makes sense for something like Age of Empires, where you had the base game, it was a finished game, it worked, it was fine, it was perfectly fine. And then you are like, well, people like this game, we kind of have new ideas, let's implement this and that, and then you do that a couple of years down the road. I mean, just look at how the game expanded from Age of Kings to Age of Conquerors, in AV2 that is. It basically felt like a whole new game, and in that regard, an expansion is worth being called it and is worth a release. So I think there are two very, very different types of games and types of DLC on it, where it makes sense at one time and it's just a blatant money grab at the other time. I feel like the ones where it actually makes sense, like where you get true expansions to the game, aren't really complained about. I feel like the complaints are more or less about this newly developing theme of cutting bits and pieces out of the game that already exist, selling the game for full price, and then selling those things on top of it. I mean, Forza is the same. They already know their 2 DLCs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're done already, to be honest. And they obviously also know the cars they're going to have, apart from the ones that are going to be added for free, so that's fine. But I'm pretty sure they already have more content than we're going to unlock. Fairly certain there. I think the most blatant example is still the whole Call of Duty thing, where you bought the disc back in, I think it was 2010, 2011, whatever it was. And you could see on the disc, you could see the names of the maps that were coming because they were already there. They were on the disc, but you couldn't play them, obviously, because they were released as DLC down the line. And I think that's a practice that is the one that gets complained about. And I really think we should differentiate. We just tell companies, hey, you know, don't like the whole DLC thing. Now, I think what we actually don't like is cutting games apart to sell everything separately. I think true expansions to games are appreciated by most people, at least, and actually have a pretty swift delivery. And I think what really is disliked is the whole microtransaction thing and the whole gambling with the crates and everything. Oh, that could have been a near crash. I think FIFA is the worst offender. I really do, as far as microtransactions go. Probably because it's the biggest and no other games do the same thing. I think Fortnite is problematic with the skins, but hey, it's just skins, but I don't know, just trying to get kids into gambling on crates is despicable in my opinion. Hey. And I also think you have to differentiate between true expansions to the game and fixing your game via expansions, which is what Civilization tends to do. I mean, the base game of Civilization has been horrendous in 5 and hasn't been much better in 6. Like, they basically just throw you a game and are like, well, we're going to fix it via DLC. Not exactly ideal if you ask me, but you probably won't, so. But that's also a type, yeah, you bring out actual expansions, new features, etc. But you're still missing out on so much in the base game that it really doesn't count. You should always try to bring out a base game that works as intended and has the basic features. Like if it misses basic features and you just release DLC after DLC until you have everything that you feel like you should have, then I'm not so sure we're still on the same page and the whole expansions are okay realm. So that's certainly a topic to think about. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was close. Whew. Pretty tight finish again. I'm actually going to wrap it up with the end of this delivery as well. Almost there now. We didn't cover the other topics that I lined out, but what we did cover was the first topic, and it's just provoking a thought, I think, to have a more open-minded discussion about DLCs not being all bad and evil, but just rethinking it. Like there's more depth to it than DLCs, it's all bad. You know, you can say that. It's not my responsibility to stop you from doing that, but just maybe rethinking some of the things and views, reconsidering some of the things. Maybe we can do that, right? So, I mean, we are currently playing a DLC, so it kind of makes sense to cover that, right? Just need to go to the right here. Is any car letting me in if we just poke our nose in? That car isn't gonna hit us, is it? No, it isn't. Alright, 1 mile remaining. What the? Americans. Just kidding. I actually think most of my viewers are Americans, so. See? So, this is a DLC I appreciate, by the way. Like, you obviously have a base game that functioned as intended, and you just add area to the map. Bit by bit. And with higher quality as well. You can clearly tell the newer bits of maps from the older ones. So getting a little bit prettier map is also a good thing, I guess. And we are going to wrap it up right here. There we go. There we go. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.